Are we good?
Not yet.
1 minute.
Okay. Okay. Good morning. I'll call this meeting to order. This is the Bay Oaks Recreational Campus Advisory Board meeting, commonly known as BORCAB.
Sorry.
It is Tuesday, May 4th, 2021 at 9 a.m. And would you all please rise for our pledge to the flag? Pledge allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, the republic for which it stands, one nation.
Thank you. Okay, for the benefit of our transcriber, let's go around the room. My name is Betty Simpson, and
My name is Becky Guidry.
My name is Holly Sweeten.
Erin Woodson.
Allison Geeson.
Bruce Butcher.
Barbara Hill, and I want to welcome our new advisory board member, Bruce. Good to have you here.
Barbara.
we'll be doing that too. Sure. All right, so I think everybody is here with the exception of Beth. Do we have an excused absence?
I did not hear from Beth. No,
Okay.
I'll reach out to her. I do know that council member Allers was not able to make the meeting today. He did contact me about it.
Okay. Maya, it's nice to see everybody without their masks on. Listened to the council yesterday, I guess it was, and I thought, oh my,
Yeah.
that's going to be very, very nice. Okay, before the approval of our minutes, let's have a welcome to our new member, Bruce. He is not a stranger by any means to our town hall, but we'd like to hear a little bit from you, Bruce, and we certainly welcome you.
Here's something from me. Well, there's a couple of people in here I don't think I've met Becky or Holly yet, so hello.
Hi.
Met before.
Karen, yeah.
Yep.
Allison, Barbara, and Betty. For the two that don't know me, I was on the town council for 3 years, the LPA before that, and the safety committee before that. So I've been hanging around here kicking tires for. And I was on the council, Bay Oaks, starting the process of deciding about the future. Allison does a great job with the strategic plan. It's always a strong point of Allison, I think. Strategic planning skills. It's been helpful in trying to understand the future that Bay Oaks wants to achieve. However, I had a lot of concerns about the direction that Bay Oaks was going in. I wanted to participate in that. I decided to join Bay Oaks. I like, my wife swims 8 days of the week as she can there at the pool, so she's very active there. I haven't done a lot of Bay Oaks, a little tennis, a little pickleball. Probably ought to go play basketball. But I do enjoy working out and outdoor activities, so I see the advantages of having the center here in town. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay. Thank you, Bruce. And of course, Bruce was, he was on the town council when we had one of our large meetings at Bay Oaks. And I know Barbara will remember it. And he came and participated with us. And so we appreciate it and certainly look forward to your input, of course, on Bay Oaks. Okay, then let's move on to the approval of our March 8th, 2021 meeting. I think you've all got the minutes. May I have a motion for approval?
I so move. Barbara Hill.
Barbara Hill, I have a second.
Erin Woodson, second.
Okay, Karen, thank you. Is there any further discussion? Not. I'll call the question. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously, 6-0. Thank you. Okay. And I guess we can pass right on through to the Friends of the Bay Oaks status.
The
For-
interlocal agreement,
Pardon?
interlocal agreement is number 7.
Okay, I just skipped right on over. I think we're excited about having the Friends of Bay Oaks active again.
to talk about
And I just saw that, and so I dropped right on down there. Okay, excuse me, let's go back to number 7. Thank you. I appreciate that. The Lee County School Board interlocal agreement update. And I believe I have a copy of that sitting right here.
Everybody has, Allison Geeson, for the record, everybody has a little sheet that's updated. Unfortunately, there's been another small delay, but we're really hoping that we can get this pushed through. Chelsea is not in the office today, but she helped me with this timeline to update you all. I think that Karen has a copy, and I think Betty, you have a copy of interlocal in its form. It does have the strike-throughs in it, but you all were provided this last time. Nothing really has changed, but if you wanted to see a copy, I wanted you all to be able to have access to that today. So we really are waiting on this to be signed, sealed, and delivered before the design moves forward. So let me know if you have any questions. We hope that the next meeting in June, we have really good news that's been presented to the Lee County School Board and voted.
Good. Okay, everybody does not have a copy of this?
No, you all were provided that last time, but I wanted you all to be able to look at it if you wanted to pass it around. I'll be glad to make copies for you again if you like it. Nothing changed from the last time that we met, but if you wanted to look at it to have any questions, let me know.
Okay, because this one does have the strike-throughs and everything.
Yes.
Right,
Bruce, you have it.
okay.
Could I ask a question about that? This replacement of existing playground equipment, including the ground surface, so on and so forth. That's the school grounds, school's playground, not the Bay Oaks playground.
We're going to replace both of them, but yes, the school does have, in order for the land swap, conditions in there for usage of the facility and then fencing and some other conditions for their improvements of that property, yeah.
Do they specify what the playground's going to be?
They have specifications such as ADA compliant and safety standards, so there is an overall, but not a specific, but, you know, make sure that it's safe for the kids and things.
They're not saying we want one slide, one merry-go-round, 14 swings.
I think in general, aren't they really complying with what our master plan dictates in terms of placement of various elements of our redevelopment of that entire?
That was there, they have, I have extra copies of this. Remember we looked at this last time? I have
Yes.
I have copies for you all, but they got to place where they wanted their items.
Okay.
And that is part of our plan, yeah. So I have extra copies of this if you all, just for your visual, you know, want to see that. It's something I did bring today. But yes, we're working on them on their placement.
The playground is going to be part of the school? The playground going to be part of the school and to be used by Bay Oaks, or opposite?
We're going to have 2 playgrounds.
Yeah, okay.
And in the interlocal, if we would like to use their property, we just have to have written notice of when we want to use it. We'll have a shared use agreement, Becky, for either properties. There's just a process in there, you know, how many days in advance and things like that, notification of when we want to use the property, make sure school's not in session when it is, things like that. Thank you, Karen. So, let's see.
And on that little update sheet.
So yesterday, the town council, if you go down the list, they're going to take it to their board in May. And then it looks like if they approve it, then they'll take the shared use, the town council in June for the meeting approval, and then it'll have to be fully executed. So hopefully this summer, we're hoping by the end of June. But,
Wow, I didn't realize the security fence was going to be so impactful.
There are federal laws that require school grounds to be fully secure. Yes, Barbara. Federal or state?
I think it's state because
Jessica Lunsford Act.
it
That
has it.
security fence is really,
Right.
oh, that security fence is really encompassing there. Oh, that area,
I'm assuming
Amazing how
there's all
close it
kind of-
comes to our building. The
yes.
security fence is basically right up to the edge of our building.
No,
The red line is the security fence, correct?
no.
Yes,
red.
school board property, and that's where the,
Green line, I think, is the fence.
Arrow's pointing to the red line.
Boy,
oh, the security fence is the
blue.
But it's
blue
just-
line.
That would mean that there's a security fence around the whole.
No,
ball
the
field
arrow
and
goes
everything.
through the blue and touches the red.
Yep,
Right,
you're right.
It looks like it's the red line.
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
It is right up against.
There is.
But that was another reason when they shifted things just a little bit, you see how tight that was for the designers. To be able to redo the site plan to shift that ball field over just a little bit, because we are extremely tight on space.
It looks
Boy.
like the configuration of the ball field was slightly altered too, because I'm looking at the left side. That isn't really, is this still a regulation ball field?
It
The way
is, the last meeting, the update is that everything had to be shifted, and this was the plan that the interlocal, that the Lee County School Board had agreed on. So everything shifted just a little bit to the left from our previous. Yes, it's still a regulation ball field.
Okay,
Look, traffic calming feature.
it's what?
That's what they call roundabouts
Calming.
now. Traffic calming feature.
Calming. Yes,
How
Yes.
calm can we be?
The security fence have a gate?
They usually have access gates for their parking, and then they'll have another one into our property, just like it is now. If you all look at it, that's how it is now. It has the roll gate for their parking that's secured, and then there's a gate on the other side where the playground is that's open and closed.
Right, okay.
is it going to be a chain link fence kind of scenario like they currently?
Barbara, I don't have any of those
Don't
details.
have any of that
Yeah,
details.
mm-mm. We'll make a note to see if that's specified in there, type of fence.
I mean, aesthetically, that really does cut into our more open plan, doesn't it? But obviously, and who knows, in 15 years, what's going to happen to that school? Is another consideration, I think,
Right?
right, Betty? I think that there's a concern about the
There's
viability of keeping that public school open.
Well, a lot of it is predicated on the number of students that they have, and you don't have any control over that. I mean,
Exactly. And isn't there like less than 100 students now?
I've
I'm not
heard
sure how
90,
many
but I
are
don't know if
there.
that's correct. My kids don't go there, so I don't know. You know?
Well, mine don't either,
No.
nor do my grandchildren.
For grandchildren.
But I had heard there was 90, but I don't know if that's the correct number still.
Yeah.
And I guess the question is, to what point is the lowered population of that school dictating a closure? I don't know what that point would be, but it would be an interesting question to raise.
Exactly.
Which means that if they're going to vacate the school, that does eventually open this up. So I'm not terribly worried about it going forward, but, the fact is, this is what it is. We really can't do anything about it, right?
Right. It's probably not going to get much larger.
Exactly. Well, and I don't think they can now because we now have, we designated legally that this is in fact our property. So
You bet.
while they may grow, they can't have it.
That's right. It's ours. Okay.
That's
Yeah.
interesting, though. So that's owned by Lee County, back to where the school is and everything?
No,
It's Lee County School Board, it's different,
Lee County School Board.
part of Lee County. They have different,
We've had to work with them through the years, and it hasn't always been real easy. And it's,
I think finding out what kind of fence, though, would be good, because it does make a difference, politically.
It does.
Nice to
Even now, you look at the fence, it's just off-putting.
So evidently, there's only 65 to 70 kids at Beach Elementary right now.
65 to 70.
Yeah, I texted one of the parents that I know her kids are there, and so there's only like 65 to 70.
6 grades. So
Imagine, that's incredible.
yeah,
You know, it's based on city's I mean, the town of Fort Myers Beach population and how many families are actually moving in versus retired or vacationers or that type of thing.
Empty nesters.
exactly.
Yeah, 65 to 70.
We've been very fortunate to have this school out here.
great school.
Okay. Well,
Thank you, Allison, for,
I'll check
Giving
on the
this-
fence, Holly and Barbara, to see if I
then we probably will not have an answer by our June meeting. I notice our June meeting is going to be June 1st. So if they're meeting in May, and what's the possibility of,
my best, Betty. It's very hard to predict right now how many times things have changed, so I really,
Okay.
unfortunately, I don't have it for sure.
there could be a chance that we would want to delay our meeting in June. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we can talk about that when we get to 13.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anything else on that, Allison?
I'll try to get your questions answered as soon as I can.
what did the town council say yesterday?
Anybody watch it?
I was not able.
go closer to your microphone, please. Thank you, Allison.
I don't know that these project like, I don't know that they project out like they normally do. They're just really. I would say that they approved it, but I have not been able to see the meeting. Elsie would have texted me if anything would have gone wrong, so.
Thank you.
I have a question, though, for Bay Oak. So if they have, if they're dropping all the mandates, things about social distancing and all that kind of thing, are we going to be able to open up Bay Oaks?
That'll be in my departmental report, Karen. Yes, I'll talk about that for sure.
Okay.
Yes. Do have a phasing plan to reopen, so yes.
We'll be quiet.
Good.
Just want to know when water aerobics are.
I do. I want to know. I want to get in a weight room without an appointment. And
Yes.
All coming to a theater near you, yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. Well, now we get to move on
Friends, which she doesn't want to talk about.
to the one that I wanted, was the Friends of Bay Oaks, the status, and I know that Karen's been working on it. I believe Barbara has too. So,
Several here, yeah.
yeah, tell us about it.
So we had a meeting on April 21st. We met with, it was a Zoom meeting. We met with Denise Monahan. It was Barbara. Holly was on there. Jana tried to be on. She missed it, but she is going to be a part of this, I think, going forward. Christy Hennessy is another person that I've recruited who has a lot of interest in Bay Oaks, and I met her actually at Bay Oaks in yoga classes. We got a lot of great information about the history of Bay Oaks, who had been involved from the very beginning, banks that hold the paper still on it, which is Iberia Bank on Summerlin. So a lot of historical things, a lot of information about the mission, of what was the mission, what should be the mission of Friends of Bay Oaks. What I had taken upon myself to try to do was resurrect our licensure, or the fact that we are an existing 501c3. So I have the paperwork from the state of Florida stating that we're a 501c3. However, when I try to go online to actually reactivate, can't get through. It requires having the license number if you're going to reactivate. Denise does not have that license number. It's got to be under some one of these, original members, which I haven't dug into yet. Then I tried just to go on and, do a whole new one. And I don't know if it's just my computer or my setup or whatever, but because I'm active on Friends of Lovers Key, everything that comes up through this website plunks in all of, because I'm doing it on my computer at home, so everything plunks in all of my Lovers Key information, even though I'm trying to do Friends of Bay Oaks.
Wow, that's
Well, that's interesting.
It's like a memory tracking
the default.
thing, and so I have no other phone number except my cell phone and all that kind of stuff, so it defaults to Friends of Lovers Key. So I'm going to recruit one of you to actually try to, I've got the information. Let's try to do it from a different computer, or maybe even from Bay Oaks or someplace, and see if we can get through. I've tried to call. I get put on hold for hours. I just had it playing on my phone, all the music. The easiest way is if somehow I could get our previous license number and the date that it expired, and then we could go in and reactivate it. I haven't been able to find that yet. So if anybody has, so previous board members, and I don't know, so RJ Snyder, Paul Macabelli, Sharon Fairclough, I don't know any of those.
Many of them I
You say Paul
Paul
Macabelli?
Macabelli.
Yeah, I work with him on Lee County Parks and Rec.
So maybe he might have, well, evidently he was part of the board that was, did a lot of the setup and everything. There were 4 people that Denise had given me, and I don't know any of them. But maybe if you could touch base with Paul
Okay, sure.
and just ask him if he has any idea where that paperwork would be, the licensure that we originally had, anything like that. And then Barbara, maybe you and I can just, sit down and, I have the website to go to, I have all of that kind of thing. I just can't even defaults every time I try to go through it.
So we can arrange a time. You can come over and then we'll try it on my computer.
Perfect. Perfect. So,
Well, I'll contact Paul and see if he has any of the original.
any
Yes.
original anything, paperwork,
And then
minutes.
the number, that
Yeah.
license number.
The main thing we need is the license number, and I'm pretty sure it was in January that it expired, January of this year, wasn't it, what Denise said?
I didn't realize
Really?
it was just so recently.
It was just recently,
Yes.
because we had not filed any tax papers, we hadn't done any audits, so then without 990s is what it called, so if we hadn't
Annual.
filed any of that, then it defaulted into an inactive status. So I thought it would be easier just go in and make it, reactivate it, but we might have to start from scratch, but then again, I can't do it.
Okay.
My computer anyway.
You just need anything from the original.
Anything from the original, any kind of licensure, any kind of names, whatever. And I have the online where we need to go. I have all kinds of numbers that they don't answer the phones. If we could get that original license number, that would be the best.
Okay, I'll reach out to him today.
Okay. And you've got my cell phone, right?
I'm sure I do, but why don't you give it to me again?
It's 612
612
802
802
8349.
8349.
349.
Okay, all right. I'll get back with you. Thank you.
We're getting there, though, and we have interest. And the other thing I wanted to say, if you know anyone else that, is active with the school, especially, and that, forward the names to me, that we can get more and more people involved with this once we get it all activated, so.
Anything else? Any questions for Aaron? All
Aaron's
right,
done a
well,
great job in arranging these Zoom meetings, and it's really been very helpful to get all of us together to talk about,
Yes,
the plan going forward. And we actually had 2 Zoom meetings, right?
You did.
So, and then Denise was very, very helpful, and I didn't realize that the organization itself was not all that old to begin with.
No, was it?
Yes.
couldn't
I remember
believe
when
that.
it started.
2017, I believe, or something like that, when it was,
And you can just, Denise just tell the enthusiasm and the commitment, that she had for this, and just, I think it kind of breaks her heart that it didn't, continue because of people, what really happened, it was a lot of people that had kids in the school, and then as they grew older and they're not in that school anymore, then their activity kind of waned with it because the focus wasn't on Bay Oaks or the elementary school. And I think Denise is doing totally different kind of work and everything, and just doesn't have time for it. So I think there's ways to resurrect it. I think we have to, with what we're trying to do with Bay Oaks. I think we have to get grants. I think we have to get funding and contributions and that kind of thing. But just paperwork right now is kind of the stumbling block.
and I think I learned a lot just by listening to what Denise's challenges were. And to your point, if you're dealing with only parents of kids who are school age and those kids grow older, then the interest wanes. So
Sure.
our objective is to bring people in who have a year-round presence here,
Right.
Not only as residents, but actually more importantly as businesses.
Right,
The
exactly.
chamber, how is this an amenity that benefits the greater population that are here? Even if they're seasonal visitors, that's our residents, fine, but, there's got to be a core constituency that keeps this vital. And I think the exciting part of reactivating this now is because of this plan, which they didn't have in 2017. That really wasn't even
Right.
part of the conversation. So I think there's newfound enthusiasm and hopefully great financial support with sponsorships from businesses and grants that could move this project along where we could actually hopefully get additional funding to do what we've always wanted.
Very good. All right. Are no more questions on that? Let's move on to item 9, our strategic plan update. This is something that we have to do periodically.
Every 6 months, Betty, that's right. So unfortunately, due to COVID, there wasn't a whole lot of change between this one and the one that you saw. Biggest changes are the interlocals and just the project moving forward. So if you all have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them at this time. We are really looking forward to 2021 to bring back some of our community events and some new community events to be able to do that. So we're very excited about that. But if you all have any questions or comments, Bruce, I know this is your first time being a part of this. Did you have any questions or anything about the plan or the progress or anything?
I'll just ask a couple little questions about where we stand in trying to utilize other facilities, like library, churches that are near Bay Oaks, other churches. when I was looking through some of the history, it talked about, well, we don't have enough room for this many people, and we don't have kitchen facilities, and we don't have this. But all those type of facilities are available here on the beach and are most likely underutilized. I was just wondering where we were on that.
So that long-term goal is on page 3 of 8, and it's 9, where it says to continue to look for expansion opportunities, satellite opportunities for south part of the island, such as the club. I did meet with Mari Torgerson, which I think was president of the women's club at the time. Because the issue of in season and people living on the south end, traffic trying to get up to Bay Oaks for classes, it was the direction community for the plan to be able to see if we could find a way to hold things on the south end. They do have fitness classes, but they make a little bit of revenue having the instructors rent the facility and give a portion. So at that time, it was not needed or really wanted for our staff to go down and set those up. They were already doing that independently. The library in the church, Ivan, which I knew him, he left last summer, I think. He was at the church there, and he was a volunteer, and we were talking about going to do a walkthrough to see what he had, because he said that there was a lot of areas of the church there by the library that was not getting utilized as much as he would like to see. And then, of course, the library. So those are things that can be re-explored, Bruce. But the Women's Club they seem to have a really good program to meet the needs of the community there and to also have a little revenue that they needed for their facility. So I did check into that part. The mosquito control, you were talking about that. They have a lot of land, seems like it's just empty. It's actually a landing for their helicopter in case anybody gets hurt. Also, it's part of Lee County, so they have a shared use agreement with the Lee County mosquito control. But interestingly enough, after you had asked that, mosquito control came over because I had requested them, and I was asking Tom about that and the land, so I kind of found out some information about that. And that's why it's always an open space, kind of like our ball field. That's for if we ever need the helicopter to lift anybody out, they can emergency land there. So that's also what that land is used for. And then also they have it with Lee County. Since this is Fort Myers Beach, the separate taxing district for this mosquito control, but they have a shared use with Lee County for that land as well.
Was that really the only reason that they're doing that, is for a helicopter for emergency?
That and the fact that something with Lee County, he couldn't speak on Lee County's behalf, but he did let me know that there was, it wasn't just all the Fort Myers Beach Mosquito Patrol. That part of it was that, and then I could get out of Tom.
Is that Tom Gressman?
He's the one, I don't know his last name. He's a member of Bay Oaks. I should know him and his wife out there all the time. I don't know his last name.
Beard?
Put a mask on.
I don't know that it makes a difference, but the Women's Club has a new president now, too. I don't know that it would change anything. I know they're trying to do a lot of funding for themselves, but.
They are, and that's where, Becky, when they had seen the need and went ahead and set it up themselves, I felt very cautious to go in and say, no, we want to take all that away from you. We want to do it. So
Yeah, no, they need the funding for sure.
yeah,
So.
I'll check
I know
in. Do
we
you know
do
who the new president is?
Monica Schmucker.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Who is it?
Monica Schmucker.
Oh, okay.
She's actually on the nuisance board, too.
We'll be glad to revisit that and give an update.
Maybe have some ideas to work together.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll see how that's going, because, that was pre-COVID when that, I talked to them and then reached out. Thank you for that. I'll get in touch with her, and then I'll just see other things, the library, and some more detailed information.
Because, I called up some members of the library, and they said that they had space there, and yes, it does get taken and used, but it is not used always in a community way, and that was the purpose of the library's building. I remember, what was it, Leroy was saying, we want this to be a community center. Sometimes they take some of that space there, and it's for a single individual maybe giving lesson. And that's not really a community use in my view, where you could get 30 people in there playing bridge or an art class or whatever it is that you do. I think if there was some cooperation with them and some advanced planning, you could set aside blocks of time, get some activity room, things that people want.
One of the things that we had already addressed with regard to the whole redevelopment of Bay Oaks was the utilization of the parking facilities from both the church and the library, should we have overflow parking. And Allison had already arranged for that with the Mount House when we had that concern about overflow parking. And so the Baptist Church and the Mount House has an arrangement for use of that parking area should the need arise, and the same would be held true here. So there is that partnership conversation going on, which is, I think, a good start. But you're right, Bruce, I think there's always an opportunity for, especially now, since we don't have the building up and running, and it won't for a while, that would be maybe a good step.
And I would just throw out one other item, and reading through the history here, somebody said, well, we needed a stage and we wanted that. You know, that I'm not speaking for the Beach Baptist Church, but they have an auditorium, they have a stage there, and they are very outgoing and outreaching to the community and offering things. I would be probably surprised if somebody went down there and said, well, we'd like to do a concert or something or a play. And if they said no, I'd really be surprised, particularly if you offer them a little bit of money.
Right.
Being in the business world, we were always about asset utilization.
Great.
And I see all these assets laying around here that are partially used. It disturbs me that we have to go spend more money, build more assets, and there's assets underutilized. A small little community. Hard for me to accept.
In Chapel by the Sea, they have a brand new commercial.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. They've updated everything for the line.
And,
Just
you
throwing
know,
it out there.
and give them a little bit of money. I mean,
We need some kind of kitchen. We start these youth programs and doing any
It doesn't
cooking
get
classes with
used a
teenagers,
lot, so, yeah.
Remember the Episcopal Church had the theater, remember
Oh,
us
yes.
several times when
Oh, yes.
we'd have performances
You bet.
at the Episcopal Theater. They don't really have an optimal situation with the stage, but certainly utilize that as part of an art and cultural
Any
event.
place we could find a stage, we used it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
And so I think Bruce is right, and we do have other assets that, can we use these to benefit the Oaks now? I mean,
And to draw the audience and
Yes.
build the audience
Yeah.
and nurture that audience so that when we do have something, there's a ready-made
they want to come
need
and
to say, okay,
participate.
yeah,
You bet.
that's just about programming. So, Allison, is that something that we should put into our
Plan?
long-range plan for,
there.
I mean, for it's expansion opportunities?
Yes, it's number 9, continue to look for expansion opportunities, satellite opportunities, south part of the island. We can add to. But there's also the short-term goal for community partnership, number 2 on the same page, work to coordinate and collaborate with Fort Myers Beach Public Library and use of library property and sharing programs. So those two are really, I think there's one other one we can add to for this, Barbara, to include the church and some of the other organizations that we're talking about right now. I can definitely add that.
Allison, going back to the women's club, the other person is Dawn Thomas. She does all the marketing
Okay,
for the
great.
women's club and a lot of the event planning. She's also on the safety, you know, Dawn.
Yeah.
So she would be another person to, because she's like intricately involved in planning for,
So she does the marketing. Monica. anybody know anybody at the church there? I'll reach out to Ivan to see if he knows who he left in the summer, so, and I'm still in touch with him. I'll see if I can find.
Has there been any interest in the theater the last several years on the beach?
Not really, I think that,
It was a very active theater group that would
There
put on
was.
plays, remember?
Yes.
And I hadn't heard anything more about that. I think that was supposed to be under the purview of the beach arts. They had an arts organization. I've not heard from them either. They have the film festival.
right?
But that,
It's
I
with
think,
Friends of
is
the Arts.
Island Arts, isn't that the name of it?
Friends of the Arts,
Yes,
Friends of the Arts, yeah.
See,
Oh,
that's
I mean,
another.
and really, the reality is COVID hit,
that's true.
everything
Right,
just.
everything
well,
stopped.
Yes, of course.
You know, so we are, I also sit on Friends of the Arts. We are in our planning mode right now because we're gonna start up all our concert series that we always had during season. We always did it like January, February, March, but we're gonna expand that this year, and it's gonna be from November to April. And then the actual film festival, it was a virtual film festival last year. I don't know how well that took off. I don't think a lot of people really much about it,
It's
so
difficult.
that's something that is on our list. We have to resurrect all of that because everything just went silent and flat.
Good point,
You
yes,
know,
of
over the
course.
last year, 15 months, really. You know, and we just had, like, the Chamber just held their Taste of the Beach. That was the first event that has taken place in 16 months. And
Right.
it was hugely successful. There were thousands of people there. It took place over at Salty Sam's Marina. I don't know if it'll continue to, it used to, originally, I guess it was over there, and then they brought it to the beach about 8-10 years ago. And then because of the permit situation, they went back over to Salty Sam's and did it. And it was really an excellent venue. I don't know where it'll be next year, but I think people are just now craving to get back in the groove. And, you know, we have the fireworks now approved, but we don't have the, we don't have the parade, but we have the fireworks approved. So that'll really help. So things are starting to move.
Absolutely, that's right. And I hadn't thought about that, but
I
you're right. It was
apologize.
COVID put a
I have
stop
to
to everything.
leave. Read my-
Oh, yeah, of
I hate
course.
to leave. I
Of
try to
course.
be here at all
No
of them,
worries.
but I'm sorry, but I've got all the packet and.
Hey, Holly.
Thank you.
We'll see you next
Bye,
time.
Holly.
Thank you.
I feel like things like with the theater, once it kind of fizzles, people forget about it too, which is unfortunate. So, you know, once
Right.
we're out and we're talking about it and promoting these different things, it'll, you know, drill up some more.
Because I remember when we had Taste of the Beach at Bay Oaks.
It was before my time, but I heard about it. It was
Yeah.
a great, yeah. So,
So just following up on your comments, Karen, that's one more facility that I'm guessing is probably underutilized, is that Art Center. I don't know, do they have people in there every day doing stuff?
you know, so Friends of the Arts doesn't really have anything to do with the actual art center.
The Art
That
Association is
That's the
completely different.
Fort Myers Beach
Okay.
Art Association. They have actually started their art shows and everything. They started it again, I think it was in January. And they had different themes, and they, you know, they did it all socially distanced and masked and all that kind of thing. But they have actually had their shows every 6 weeks. I think it's changed themes, but they've had it starting this past January.
They had some of them over at Shuckers.
Yep, they had some of them over at Shuckers where they displayed some things all through season.
I'm just pointing out, that's another building, and I don't, but
That's a tough one, only because they have so many working artists in there and so many things on display.
well, that may be a zero, but
Yeah, so we can't really go in and like take over anything because they'd have to clear it all out, I think, number one. And, they actually have artist stations there, so I think that would be a tough one to get.
They have workshops, and I think those are
Do
like,
have workshops.
it's a pretty active building, and it is there for its membership, and so,
Bet.
to your point, there's no reason why that can't be like a one-time event or maybe a couple times a year.
Or even out, because they have a great outdoor area, a big parking lot and
They
that
do.
kind of thing, so, you can do it something in combination of. Yeah, so I'm even thinking like Friends of the Arts, we start up our concert series all again, actually gonna be over at Salty Sam's. It used to be down at Fishtail. Now with Fishtail being sold and there's all ownership and everything, probably not gonna work as well there, and so we talked to Salty Sam's about it, and so I
Salty seems. I was thinking of the crab, I thought.
Oh, no,
Oh, yeah.
Salty Sam's.
No parking there for
Yeah,
sure,
I'm
right?
thinking, how could there?
So it's spreading out just for locations, That is part of Fort Myers Beach. Let's.
and
It's really not, but
I think
It's not
the
island, but it is Fort
incorpor-
Myers
it's not
Beach.
the Island. It's not a sterile island, let's
Right.
put it that way.
I think here is another example where Island Arts can be the organizing body by which the cultural groups happen. And when we have our new Bay Oaks redeveloped, that they don't go to Salty Sam's, they come to Bay Oaks to have this.
Right.
So that's basically outsourced to Island Arts, and we then become the venue. Because I think the intent for all of our groups is to have it here on the island, to not have it on San Carlos Island. I think there's also, that body of water crosses a psychological bridge, doesn't it? So I think that, getting these activities back, getting Taste of the Island back at Bay Oaks, getting the island group to have performances at Bay Oaks is the goal. Because we have way more property and we'll have way more parking than Salty Sam's will.
And I think there's a lot of things that need to get back into alignment to make that financially feasible, as well as permitting and the cost of permitting, all that kind of thing has to get back into alignment.
Exactly.
That all comes back around to our plan for Bay Oaks and the pavilion that we wanted and the being able to have events there. And we were happy to have even a small one to see what kind of
Interest there would be.
interest they had in such a facility.
Right.
And then if it was overwhelming, could enlarge it. I think that was one reason that we said, okay, let's go with the smaller one. I mean, just to be
We
able
really
to.
didn't have a choice, did we?
Yeah, well, I know. Well, we'd like to think that we did. Okay, well, let's get back over here to our strategic plan. Now, what else?
Yeah, and maybe this is too long range because it assumes that our building is built. But I think for me, a long-term goal is to get these disparate groups, art and culture activity groups, like Friends of the Arts and the Taste of the Islands and all of that onto Bay Oaks property so that it becomes more of a community event and not in a variety of places off island. So
That's page 4. Number 5, explore opportunities and make it known that Bay Oaks campus is open for hosting events and
Exactly.
programs to the Fort Myers Beach community. I actually was already approached by somebody to hold an event in December of this year and also February that used to manage events at Lover's Key. So I'm hoping that, we can make that happen.
Wonderful.
With COVID, everything was just a little delayed, but I'm trying to get the word out there that open for business and, good location. So that's something you all can also help with. It's actually a short.
fantastic. Yeah, you're right.
And, bringing that up, that's another thing. We've opened, or the new Welcome and Discovery Center at Lover's Key will be opened officially May.
Great.
Just waiting on all the final permits and sign-offs and all that type of thing, but it has a beautiful community room. It has a whole open area underneath the building outside. They are going to be doing all kinds of kids programs this summer, educational programs, so that's another one to strongly partner with.
And, I think that's wonderful because we are so opposite ends. We cover such a huge, I love that because a lot of people who are going to Lover's Cave is not going to come all the way, and so we don't compete, we complement, I think, with our things. So I saw Katie at the last TDC, the TDC workshop a couple weeks ago, and I congratulated her because it's, a long time coming.
Yeah,
Really
she's
looking
done such a
forward
great
to
job with it too.
doing
Yeah,
that,
and they get a
Karen.
lot of Bonita people,
They
obviously,
do, yeah.
coming that aren't going to come all the way up here, but
I think
yeah, that's
great.
just another venue that's going to be opening.
Opening us up and showing that we're open, like you said, is the biggest thing. Because even like as far as the kids go, the typical events that we had in the past, like the Easter egg hunts and the Halloween festival, it was all canceled. So people kind of go away from Bay Oaks. They're going to the different churches and things when they really need to come right back. Now that the pool's starting to open and hopefully get some more events in there, it might help. But I know it's been kind of a struggle for the last year, obviously. So
I do think that they will come when we have things.
They
Our
will.
community, yeah, is so supportive. And funny you were mentioning Fright Night because it's time to start thinking about Fright Night.
we were so sad it was canceled. It's like,
My staff has been, and myself, it's just been really hard for everybody. So
parents are ready. I'm telling you, like we want to get, we need the kids back in there. And I know, like, one of my friends in particular has been really pushing for the pool to be open and for the kids to be in there. And I mean,
they are
they're
now.
ready.
It is open
Right.
now. And please, you all, anybody who has any questions about the operations of Bay Oaks, please give them my name and my cell phone number. I have that relationship with all my neighbors and community members at the Mound House. I really want to help make that happen for Bay Oaks. If people want to come up to council, that is fine. They can do that. But I really want the opportunity to try to hear them and to resolve whatever things that they do have and their requests. And I also want to build that relationship with them.
Right.
We be thinking about, like, as things start to open up, like maybe having a grand reopening?
We
House kind of
can.
thing?
That's a good idea.
I can definitely see when we could do that, and if it was outside. That was something that I was talking to the vendor about. We never got to really cut the ribbon on our new kiddie pool play structure that we had. Because it got put in, and then the resurfacing happened, and then everything was delayed during COVID, and I know it was terrible, and then it shut down, and then, so,
It was
yes, I
March
think.
17th that shut down, right? Or
Right.
just about that
Yes,
time?
it was March 17th, yes.
We haven't even seen it yet.
15th is
I think
when
that
we
would
had to get
be,
renters and everybody out of
Yeah,
here.
super fun
Well,
idea.
and I think it's all a big learning curve for all of us because we've been so psychologically, removed and isolated that for
Absolutely.
not only staff to revisit, let's get active, but for us to get our minds around, wow, we can actually do this. And I think yesterday's council meeting is like, wow, that's a huge wake-up call. We now can make this happen. So, yeah, it's like, wow, that's allowed now.
You bet.
And I
You
agree
bet.
with you that it is psychological.
Alive and
So even
well.
though it's allowed, you still have to wrap your head around it.
That's what yes, exactly.
We just have to get used to it again.
Right. And feel comfortable. And
Yes.
Come on down.
And I think just having the
I
masks,
think it'd be fun and just have
I
a,
like that idea, Karen.
outside.
Yeah.
yeah.
I was thinking after hours event, we'll definitely have something at the pool, but what a beautiful event it would be to have it after hours at the pool.
Oh, my God, would that be,
Vision of
perfect.
when we're cultivating our community members and things, and I don't know that we've ever had that, and I think it would just be so nice.
Karen, that's a brilliant idea. And I think the idea of doing it at the pool and doing it like sometime within the next 6 weeks or something before it gets like too wicked hot.
So great.
And just celebratory,
Yeah.
And so the pool's open for longer than 45 minutes.
Actually, today it is.
Okay, because we can't do it during that.
Hurry up, everybody, drink up. We gotta go.
Exactly.
Chop, chop.
I would be happy to help with that if you need my help.
Okay, we could even
because
have
that-
Wonderful.
food trucks there and that kind of
Yes.
thing.
That'd be really fun.
That would
So
be
let me
a
see what I can,
blast.
That would be great.
Get the ball up and running. Yeah, great
I think it'd be a
idea.
great way to feature the property again, because
Great
never gotten
idea.
to do that at Bay Oaks like that, because everything
Maybe
comes
by then we'll have the approval from the school board, so then
to
the
celebrate.
process, and we could even have a copy of the plan there on a
Just
table.
thinking that on easels.
Oh, that's a
Right.
great
we could
idea.
have Pictures.
Right,
And
to
this is
say,
what
you
we've
know,
got.
guess what, this is up and running.
Community starting involved and excited about what's
And get
coming.
more kids there at the pool too, because I know the other day on Facebook, somebody had shared that it was open, and there was a lot of comments, they're like, where is this? What is this place? And I was like trying to write, I'm like, it's at Bay Oaks.
Still
Exactly.
not knowing where it is.
Have no
yes.
idea, yeah.
Those ball field lights on so they can.
Oh, it's still like hidden, you have the
I
little
think we
walkway,
Just see Friends of Bay Oaks jumping in there too somehow to get that
Right.
ball rolling.
right?
Well, that's,
Sign
I
Great time
think,
for
where
it.
you would be
Yes.
cultivating
I know.
I know,
your
be a
potential
volunteer.
volunteers, right, Karen? Exactly what I was. This is all exciting.
It is, I feel like a new beginning.
Yes.
Any more questions about the strategic plan that I
Oh,
can answer?
this is great. Thank you so much, Allison.
Yes, indeed. And it looks like we're going to be able to move on with that, and I think we just have to wrap our minds around, okay, we can do it now,
Right.
and we can move forward instead of everything being shut down. So, oh, that's delightful. Yes. Okay, thank you. Then you have what you need from us
Yes, Betty,
now.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then let's move on to the department.
Let's just get right
Report.
down to the reopening plan. So for, the council did give direction, just like any businesses, I do have the ability to set policy for my reopening plan. They did take down their mask mandate here in Town Hall. I am going to have my mask mandate a little while longer to allow all my staff who've gotten vaccinated for their 2 weeks out. I still think that that's very important to make sure we try to protect our staff and our visitors as much as we can. However, we will be opening up, having a plan to open up services more. So over the next 2 to 3 weeks, you'll see, more of everything. But it will just be like our original plan way back last year where it was in phases. We're going to be doing that as well. So the pool is now to an hour. We will be working to have walk-ins on that because it is an outside venue, so we will be allowing people just to come in. So be looking for that. Also, the weight room, some of the programs will come back, our swim lessons, our water aerobics, and things like that. So I'll be working to staff. It won't happen tomorrow, but you will for sure start seeing some extended services and programs. And then eventually, of course, the masks mandate will be addressed on that. The goal is to really try to allow all those staff to be able to get vaccinated, and then the 2 weeks after their second shot, we are going by the CDC guidelines. So Becky, you mentioned the 45 minutes, and that's what Bruce had mentioned before. When we reopened the pool, that was to have that 15 minutes for disinfecting, and now those services, it's not as important. The staff is still important, but it's the airborne, is the CDC guidelines, so they've changed a little bit, and so we will be changing that. And I think actually Hunter changed that. I think Wednesday will be the first day you get the full hour instead of 45 minutes. So be looking for that, and I appreciate everybody's patience on this. This has been quite the challenge. Things that we have done is really tried to keep our visitors and our kids and our staff safe. And everybody has different opinions, and I do accept that, but we're just doing the best we can. So anybody that's unhappy or would like to talk about how things can move quicker or changes things, please feel free to give them my number. Like I said, my cell phone number. I'm never at my desk. So I'd be glad
What is that
to.
number? What is that number?
The number's 239-462-8247. Again, 239, I always like to repeat, 462-8247. I I really want the community to know that I am here. I'm a public servant. I serve the community, and if there's ever anybody who is unhappy with anything or would like to see a change, if I don't know about it, I can't address it. So I really encourage you to let them know to reach out directly to me. I'd be glad to help resolve any issues. This has been quite the past, over a year for staff. They've done a great job. And we are really all looking forward to expanding our service. So for a little while longer as I work through that plan with my staff, and we'll put it on our Facebook and put it on the town website. So we're really looking forward to that. The council meeting was late yesterday, so we started the plan, but the pool's closed Tuesday, Thursday, so my aquatic staff, I'll work with them tomorrow. But they know it's coming because we did talk about it a little.
Is there a more recent report, because this was dated March 2021?
No, because it was for April.
April.
Yeah, so
April
how the
9th.
departmental reports work is we turn them in. So actually, our April's not been due yet.
Oh,
We need to have, so we just finished April last week. Okay, so
Right,
this
okay,
is the
got
current
it,
one,
okay.
Barbara. I know it's very confusing, but
right, okay, got it.
so our summer camp registration is open. We're very excited about that. We had successful fun days, and our spring break camp was successful. We had our outdoor fitness classes start back. That was a change last time. Little League has already started and is in season right now, so they have been playing.
Ball and all that.
Pickleball has been outside, and we've also gotten permission to use the school, that tennis court over there, and we've converted that one over when needed, so we've tried hard to make accommodations for that.
We don't have basketball for kids, do we? We don't have any basketball for kids, right? Soccer and Little League.
Right, no, you're absolutely right, Becky, yes. We don't have any, for the children, no, we don't have any basketball, soccer, and
Somebody was asking me about an adult soccer team. Has there ever been any interest in generating
have one.
an adult soccer team? Because I had a person, actually, he does a lot of these open-air markets. His wife makes jewelry. He is really excited about a soccer field, and I said, well, I don't think that there's ever been a conversation. Has there ever been any interest?
I'll have to check with staff. I've only been director for a few years, so I'll check with staff to see if we've ever had that.
Request. I just wondered if our plan could accommodate
It
adult
should, those
soccer.
fields should be, I'll check with Paul.
Okay,
but-
if you would, just to make sure, but I think the question, that it was an issue of a regulation size.
Okay,
whatever
let me
that-
check on that,
whatever.
because there
Thank
may be
you.
a difference, yeah.
Could always coach.
Oh, is what?
Coach.
Exactly.
We're looking for coaches all the time.
Exactly.
That sounds good.
I'll mention that next time I see him.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, any more questions about the departmental report? There'll be all kinds of wonderful new things to share with you all as we move into our reopening, so.
Any questions? Thank you, Allison, as always. Let's move on then to board member items. And start with you.
Other than what we've discussed, I can't think of anything at the moment.
Okay, well, that's okay. You don't have to. So, Karen?
Kind of the same way, although I did have a question, Allison, so about any press releases?
Jenny Dexter does all the press releases for Bay Oaks. Did you all see the front page of the Beach Observer? I think it was this last week. It had Bay Oaks about our senior trips on there. Did you see
Yes,
that?
I did see
Yep.
that.
Yeah.
A lot of great
You bet.
exposure.
That's
So,
good.
yeah,
That was
So
good.
all of these new announcements will be going,
Jenny does yes, she will definitely, especially a reopening, she will be taking that and posting it, and then it, and Beach Observer picked all that information up on our website, so it's wonderful. They know where to look and they know where to get information, but she will definitely be put.
Other than that, I mean, get together. We'll figure this out.
We'll talk.
All right, Bruce.
It's under the sunshine, isn't it?
Yes, yes, sir, it is.
I was just wondering about your talking.
This is how, well, I know, we were actually having that conversation too about, the sunshine law in terms, but
Right.
when, and we've had a similar challenge with the Friends of Townhouse, and Betty and I and Seal also were on the board of the Friends of the Mound House while serving
Right.
on the advisory board of the Mound House, which did bring up the question of the sunshine law. But I think the intent is if there's something that is going to come before the advisory board in terms of a vote, that's where there can't be the communication. But I think if we're working on a subcommittee, i.e. Friends of the Arts, and you and I are working on that separately, which doesn't come before this body as a vote, is completely allowed. That was how we made that
Exactly,
determination.
exactly, because we have too many duplicate people that are on the same committees.
Is my turn?
Your turn.
Okay.
Yes.
He has a
Take a
list.
break before I get started? All right, so when is that National Fitness Court going to be installed?
Well, we hope that that's one of the first things that gets installed, Bruce, because that, in the phasing plan, that is one of the first things is that entrance. So that we're hoping, have nothing to share right now with this interlocal hanging out there. We do hope that that is,
What does
that
that have
is in
to,
phase
what
one.
does that have to do with the interlocal?
Because we have to, in order for us to do anything, we need to make sure we know where all of our land is. So there is no reason to move forward with anything until we know for sure the land titles have been set.
But is that going to affect the location of that?
I have no idea. See how tight our line is? If the school board comes back and says something about that building, originally there was supposed to be a building on that parcel, so it is, we are really wanting to have ownership of the land titles totally completed and secured before anything starts as far as the redevelopment project.
Well, and the actual design of the redevelopment of all of Bay Oaks is still only in the 30% design
is,
phase, because
and-
once
yes.
this issue about the school board happened, all of that design phase stopped, and that was what, 3 months ago?
So they'll go to the 60, 90, 100% once this interlocal is and
Right,
land.
and so the design group, given this new information, may very well have to shift things around, so we can't jump the gun on that.
There's been too many
I understand.
changes, last minute changes, so we want to make sure.
So do
that-
we own the court now? Court here?
Court is here, yes, we have it ready to install.
Wow,
We just have to get the contractor
This has
to
been a
do
couple of
the
years.
foundation.
no, we haven't had it for a couple of years.
Yeah, we have.
Really?
Yeah, because Chelsea got the grant, and it was that year and they shipped it, and so we're waiting for the foundation
Oh
to.
my gosh.
Last year doesn't count.
No, thank you, Becky, scratch
I
that.
didn't know we've had it in storage for 2 years.
I didn't either.
And so with the redevelopment, it is not cheap to install because it's concrete, so it was to wait until we found a place to be able to do it.
Where is it being stored?
It's in the, one of our storage units.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
2 years, goodness gracious.
I
Good
didn't know
question.
that either.
The foundation for the concrete, and I don't know if you all know the cost of concrete, but we did not want to have to install it and then pick it back up and move it.
Right.
As soon as you start pouring it, all the plans are going to shift, and if you leave it alone, nothing's going to change, so.
So that was one of the first phases, Bruce, that I don't know that you got, well, and they'll redo a phasing plan once we get the interlocal of what's going to happen when, but that parcel, Bruce, was one of the first phases to happen. And no, you asked about the playground, and it's for liability and safety structures for National Fitness, we can't have a playground right now.
No, I called National Fitness and asked them about that, and they said, go ahead.
In their guidelines to not do that.
I talked to the installation people there, and I asked them. They said, well, we recommend 100 to 150 feet from a playground. I said, why? They said, well, we don't want to encourage people to use the playground that,
'Cause it's for 14 and up.
that's right.
Yeah.
But I asked the lady, I said, well, look, if the little kids are going to walk past the playground, get to their playground, what difference does it make whether it's 200 feet or 50 feet? Because really all we're trying to do is to not encourage them to use it. So if you had some separation between the two,
It might be okay.
it would be okay. No, she said it would be okay.
And then
She
how do
talked
you-
like she was the authority,
Yeah.
so, and she said, you know, some places they put up some brushes or something to separate it. I said, well, we might have a shade facility between it. Well, that's, you know, that's a good idea. I said, well, what if we put a fence around it? She said, oh, don't put a fence around it. Oh my gosh, don't put it. We want it to be inviting. We want people to come and look
Community.
at it. And I looked at the playgrounds online. I don't see anything on that playground that is more dangerous than a kid's playground. I just watched my granddaughter the other day go across some monkey bars on YouTube or something, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, hanging up there high and then going, but, and you know, I don't know if you guys ever swung when you were kids.
Oh, yeah.
You know, bail out at 10 feet.
Jump, yeah, you only jump off when you hit the top.
Teeth, and you bet.
You have to see
In
how
there.
far you
That-
can
Done
get
that.
with competition.
There's nothing on that playground or this fitness court that's worse than on a playground. So this is a bunch of malarkey. Now, to keep people, you don't want the kids occupying it when people want to have some serious exercise. I understand that. I understand why you want to keep them out of there, but to say that it's a liability thing, I think it's a bunch of
And then,
hogwash.
you think it's okay to have an entrance and a busy boulevard where a playground is when we have all this other space in the back? Because
Yeah.
our kids go out there to play every day.
I don't want my kids next to the street.
I'm not saying have the kids.
yeah, but that
I'm
parcel
talking
would
about
be next to the
I'm talking about
streets.
the fitness thing.
Okay.
But you want the fitness and the playground to be together, which is on that parcel, which is off Estero, and then the vehicular entrance into the park.
Well, that's another problem. We shouldn't have that vehicular interest into the park, but that's just my personal opinion. I could be wrong. I was wrong once, but I think that's a total waste of space, and you're adding impervious material to the earth here, and everybody's worried about the ecology and stuff, and so we're adding another driveway for no good reason, in my humble opinion. Adding more turns into Estero Boulevard, which all know is a safety concern. You want to keep as many entrances out of Estero Boulevard as possible. And in fact, the town code says, the county's code says, you don't want to have an entrance on Estero Boulevard if you can have an entrance off a side street, which we have today, which is School Street. So the whole thing doesn't make any sense to me, but I don't want to get into that right now. It's attempt, I guess. But the idea, if you want to attract people into Bay Oaks, you don't do it through a driveway, you do it through activities. And you can have the children's playground fenced in, like with a pool fence or something, and you take them over there. I assume the parents are going to be with them. So, anyhow, so that's my opinion about that. Does anyone benchmark what they're doing down in Naples with their playgrounds? I mean, with their fitness activities?
There was research that everybody did for Sanibel and Naples but it's been probably pre-COVID.
We researched Bonita Springs, we've researched Estero, we've researched Sanibel, and brought all of that information to this group when we were going through the conceptual plan for Bay Oaks.
Naples has a thing called the factory. Go up, work hard, have fun. They have one of these
National Fitness Course.
special fitness things there, but then they've expanded that with their, have a running walk course that has exercise
Along the way.
stations on it, and I forgot what they call that. They had some special name for that.
It's our walking loop that we were,
Yeah, yeah.
the redevelopment.
And they also have an outdoor weight room.
outdoor weight room.
outdoor weight room. And I was really surprised when I saw that. And we've got machines, things there, and then they put some sail shades over some of it and things. Yeah, it's a very large system that they're developing. They have stages 1, 2, and 3. Stage 1 now, I think. But they have soccer courts there. They have stairs for running up and down, like, you know, people do football stadiums. Yeah, they're not particularly tall, but, you know, they're 20 feet tall, 30 feet tall or something. And it's very interesting what they've done. At least I haven't seen it physically, but just looking at it online of the factory. Drive down there and take a look.
Is that on the city of Naples, or is that in your county? Is that a county park or a city park?
I don't know. It's a good
Sounds like he's
question.
gonna investigate. Take photos, Bruce, when you go down.
I will.
Did you happen to find out what the budget was?
No. Yeah, I just got on this committee days ago, so
He's just beginning.
Okay, so next time we meet, Bruce, we need to have that all.
Yes, would you have that other information?
I'll ask now. And this is membership only. You have to be
Yeah,
a
we
member.
were actually talking about that too, yeah. Factory, that's
Participate.
interesting. I'm gonna have to look into that. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and when I talked to the lady at National Fitness Court yesterday, she says, "Oh, Fort Myers." She says, "Fort Myers Beach, Fort Myers." She said, "Well, are you the one that's got the neat palm trees in the back of it and palm fronds and on the wall?" I guess she was talking about. I said, "No." I said, "I'm new. I don't know anything about that." So that may be, maybe they have one going into Fort Myers. Anyhow, we had a nice discussion about the playgrounds, and she said, "Yeah, well, that's what we recommended." And then I asked her a couple of questions. She didn't seem to agree that it didn't seem important. But on track there, that has to be.
We always want to make sure that we check with safety experts.
We're going to have a sliding board at a swimming pool. How tall is a sliding board going to be?
That
How tall is a sliding board at the swimming pool?
slide,
We already have it.
Big slide?
how tall that is.
I'm just trying to think about how tall it is versus this athletic court.
Oh, I don't know the height of our existing. Be up there. How high is that you're thinking? Court.
The court, the biggest thing on there is a jump-up box. It's like,
Have that
feet
wall
tall.
though.
yeah, but you don't climb the wall.
No, but that's like it's something that kind of defines.
Right. And they hang the, come out and you push on one station and pull on the other. It's like, it's very similar to TRX, what they're doing. Fix some TRX things. I look at this plan here also. This draft plan. If I'm looking at this correctly, that driveway going right through the center of that lot?
What you're looking.
What lot?
The Estero Boulevard lot.
Yeah, right here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the Stero Boulevard.
Right.
That's the driveway.
So the
This is the roundabout.
dead through the center of the lot.
Right.
So,
It looks like there's adequate parking, angle parking there is the way they've most recently drawn this one.
the angle parking is actually into where the swimming pool parking lot is today, so they're,
Exactly.
yeah. The parking lot, looking at this map, shows it going right down the middle of that lot.
I'll verify that, Bruce.
So you're breaking up the usable space of that lot, which is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars on the open market. And to destroy it like that, to me, it seemed sinful.
me verify that, how, get a little bird's eye view on that parcel.
Did anybody ever go back to the library and try to get them to put some signage up for Bay Oaks?
That's being implemented too. I do believe it really isn't a library property issue because the town has that right of way. And actually, it's a county right of way that's on Estero Boulevard, not the town or the beach for that matter. So, or the library or the beach. So I think that once this is under construction, there will be the appropriate signage on Estero Boulevard for both the entrance and for on School Street.
And why are we waiting? What does new construction have to do with that? To sign up?
I'll check with Public Works on, we put the sidewalk in right there. We finished that not too long ago. So I'll check with Public Works on.
That would actually be a great, tie-in with putting that signage in because of the sidewalk being recently constructed. It seems like that would be appropriate.
Well,
See what it requires.
like you said a while ago, who knows about the pool? I don't know why we're waiting so long to do it.
Oh, I think, obviously the pool is called the community pool and the Bay Oaks Recreational Campus is called Bay Oaks. It could very well be, if Friends of Bay Oaks does a really good job in terms of marketing this and potential naming opportunities, it may no longer be called Bay Oaks. So I think the cost of putting in permanent signage, when in fact it may not be called Bay Oaks in the next 5 years, is something that, needed to us.
I wouldn't. I'd name it what it is today and say Bay Oaks Rec Center with pool, or pool, rec center and pool.
Right.
Rec center and pool. I don't even care if you call it Bay Oaks. Just get people to know that something's back there.
It can town of Fort Myers Beach, Recreation Center and pool.
Right.
Right.
And
Yeah, makes it
exactly.
simple.
Yeah.
And that would be generic
Yep,
enough until
yep.
such time.
And it would work forever.
Right. And,
No.
Right, it doesn't matter what the name is.
Right, right.
exactly. All right, we solved that.
Done?
Okay.
Oh, okay. Next, what else you got, Bruce?
What else did you have?
I'm looking.
You have a pretty long list there.
Great.
Is there any place for a bike center and a water station that would be near Estero Boulevard?
Water station, like a more specific, to refill your
Feed-
bottle water?
Yeah, refill your bottle water like you have down at Newton Park. They have these bike centers in many communities where you may have a little umbrella above it, and they have a supported by a post, and on that post they have several bike tools attached to cables. You can tighten up your seat or change your tire. They have an air pump, and often there's a water station near there. Again, that area near Estero Boulevard, and you're bringing people into the property, getting them curious about the property, and providing a public benefit of a station for bicyclists, which we're trying to help the community.
Great idea.
Yep.
Never even heard of that, but that's a really wonderful idea. We'd not had that conversation when
No,
we
we
were doing the
haven't.
conceptual planning.
And then
How
with
much bike, I'm sorry?
I was just going to say, with the new bike lanes, it's going to be all over Estero Boulevard shortly for the last mile.
Which is, of course, the most crucial mile.
But people are starting to use those bike lanes now. Many people are actually following the law and riding with traffic, which
That's really
encourages me. I
great.
really
Right.
like seeing that.
There's the new
Isn't
signs
that
now
nice
too.
to see?
Going the wrong way, go with traffic.
Right. Exactly.
I'm excited that as Estero Boulevard gets finished, it's going to be more people riding their bikes up there.
You bet.
Going to get
Oh, yeah.
Bay Oaks to do things.
Absolutely. Great idea.
You bet.
How much bike parking are we going to have at the new facility? I mean, that's something like Like us as a family, we're gonna ride our bikes there. We're not gonna.
Yes.
So when we go to any event or anything.
Make sure that we
Honestly,
have,
I don't think it's ever.
I'll make a note.
And I think it probably was never addressed because we always had adequate biking. I rode my bike to the pool and I rode my bike to the gym. And so there were always adequate bike racks all along there. So it was never assumed that there wouldn't be that, at least that same amount of bike rack opportunities as we already have. So would there need to be more?
Oh, we just have to put them somewhere. Where are they gonna go? How many are we gonna have? I don't know if
Make a
that's
note
part
of
of
that.
it.
Reconfiguration, she's saying, what's the layout gonna be where you have it?
I don't
Make
think
sure
we
we
ever
have
got to the detail because it was only at 30%. We never got to the detail about
Right.
where the bike racks were
Exactly.
going. So that would be a conversation to have
That
with
was a thought.
with the planners.
I've made a note not to forget. so.
Awesome.
Good.
Water station, bike station, and then bike
And
racks. making sure we
actually,
have
and I know this is like I'm putting my public art hat on, but there are some incredibly innovative bike rack designs that serve as public art,
Bring that
Yes.
up.
right? Let's not
Yep.
just do this,
But even
you
the ones at the
know.
library, they
Oh,
have
yes.
Ones
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
library,
exactly.
even.
But you'll see in county parks that there's all these wonderful,
Right.
that, you know, you don't have to spend any more money on those kinds of bike racks than you would for something sort of mundane. Let's have it fun.
creative and fun. Got it.
Bike racks is public art.
like your art hat.
Like the art hat.
Well, and look at what we've done at the different easements, those bike racks. You know, like at Flamingo, there's a
Right.
flamingo out there.
One by our
Yeah.
house is a fish.
I
It's
love
beautiful.
those. You know, I mean, it's something different.
At the beach entrances.
Right.
Yes, yeah,
Beach access ones,
yes.
they have bike racks at beach access.
Oh.
And
Oh,
some of them
yes.
are flamingos, some of them's a fish, and, you
Or
know,
just like a
they're-
big green fish. It's
Turtle.
beautiful.
Oh, gosh,
At
yeah, I
each
guess I haven't
easement.
seen those at all the
Oh,
different,
you've got to go up each easement and take a look.
wow, I'll
Yeah.
do that. That's interesting.
I
they're
happen to
very
be
fun.
up
I don't know
by,
who did them, but they're
Yeah.
really cool.
okay. Bruce, what else?
It's fun having you on here, Bruce.
Yes, yeah.
So, big question I had that I sort of asked Allison the other day, and she's gonna give me some statistics. But I'm big on numbers and vision. I don't hear so good and I don't write so good, but the future state, when you look at what is proposed, we're going to have 2 softball fields now, we're going to have this many pickleball courts, and we're going to do this and this, and we're going to spend X millions of dollars for each one of these things, or X hundreds of thousands of dollars, or whatever. What is the expectation of change in the utilization, what we're having today, not the past year, obviously, because of COVID, in prior times versus the future? Do you think you're going to increase participation 100%, 500%? What's the cost change going to be for this incremental improvement? And then what's the revenue source of that? And that was the thing that always made me wonder about what we're trying to do. How do we understand what bang we're going to get for that buck? What's that expectation? And then, because I was over at Sanibel and looked at their facility when I was on town council. They had a partnership, as I understand it, with the school district and the town and Lee County. And we all participated in the funding of that to build that outstanding facility and that outstanding pool and everything else. Their membership fees were very, I won't say expensive, they were not nominal. You know, several $100s a year to participate. And I never heard anyone talking about that ideas forward. And it always made me wonder what was really going to happen at the end of the day, because the operational costs have to go up, how's it going to be supported? And are we convinced we're going to a big turnaround in the numbers and participation? I think it will improve. I'm just wondering what the goals are for that improvement and what the plan is to reach those goals. And say, well, build it and they will come. I don't know. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But to me, that's why I think having that court out front, playground out front, maybe not on the street. You don't want the kids playing in the street, but that is the magnet to bring people in there and understand what else there is to be offered. That concludes my speech.
Well, and piggybacking on that for just a little bit, the basketball that used to be very active, in our facility, and it was not so much, and so they changed the floor plan so that they could have more pickleball. And like you said, 5 years from now, maybe there won't be pickleball, it'll be something else. So we just kind of grow with it and learn with it. So, but I really appreciate your comments, and thank you.
I just, one other comment, not that it has to do much with what our plans are, but I was sharing with Allison that I went down to the pickleball tournament in Naples a couple of weeks ago. There's 2,000 people playing.
Really?
And thousands of people spectating. We got 64 pickleball courts there. Now, that's really for Collier County, I guess. But it was an impressive tournament. I was really surprised and very well done. But my point is, pickleball right now is red hot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, it's your turn, Barbara.
Actually, the pickleball tournament for the beach was discussed, and that is one of our goals. Once the new courts are in, that we hope to have, obviously on a smaller level than 1,000 participants, but certainly having tournaments here, and also not only for pickleball, but for the swimming pool. Right, Allison, we were having that conversation with regard to having competitive races at our swimming pool. But you raised some great points about the bike racks or the bike station, and looking at the factory and what they're doing. I think the intent when we first started working with the conceptual plan is that the exception of the building itself in terms of the actual footprint, which we now know is the new reality, all of this is going to be evolving, both in terms of the multifunction capability of what happens in the building, as well as what happens on the grounds. So as events and programs change and evolve, as the demographics of our island will change and evolve as they always have, that adaptability will continue to happen on both the exterior properties as well as what happens inside. There's a lot of flexibility with the way the building is currently being designed to allow for those changes, and it's an evolving situation, as we're aware. I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Okay. All right, well, I think it's been very interesting, and appreciate, even though I mentioned that Bruce has been around for a long time and has been involved in some of these different things, to bring in another viewpoint when our group has all had, we've all kind of been going toward this same basket. And so to get some of these other ideas is really helpful, and I appreciate your input. And it's just nice to have a full board again. And so we've got all 7 members, and welcome everybody. Okay, then, let's see, our next meeting would be June 1st, unless something would come up that, and we've always got this availability, if we get word from Allison that something new has come up and we need to meet, I think that we're all flexible enough that we can certainly do that, and appreciate all of that input that we get from you, Allison. Thank you.
Excuse me, on that,
Otherwise-
are you meeting throughout the summer?
We haven't talked about it. I think it's going to be dependent upon this school board, getting that signed, and how we're going to move forward. But normally, you know, we've had months that we have had to cancel our meeting because we didn't have anything new on the agenda. But as we start to move forward, I don't know how the rest of you feel, but if we can make some progress, I think that we should keep going. But it'll be a matter of whether or not it's practical that we can do this.
For advance notification, I will not be able to be here on June.
Oh, Bruce, okay.
I feel like you were saying, I mean, we've had to stop so many times, y'all have had to stop so many times in the past. To stop artificially is
Right,
not going to help anything,
exactly. Okay, well,
as long as everybody's around.
right.
Yeah, and my sense is that really nothing is going to happen between now and June 1st with regard to the school board, because we're not going to get that final vote. So I'm suggesting that we forego the June meeting and look at something in July. Hopefully by then the school board will have voted, and we can then begin to hear from our planning.
Yes. Oh,
to
my gosh.
determine the progress on the 30% design plan going to 60%. That's what I'd like to see in July.
Okay, so hold until that Monday in our regular meeting
First-
time
Yeah.
Would be
in July.
July 6th.
Yes, which I'm not available then.
Oh, you're not allowed. Well, but there isn't anything to discuss on in June 1st, right?
Right, we can set a different date for July.
Okay, let's look at a different date.
Let's see about,
Okay.
I'm out the first 2 weeks.
Remind me when
That's-
this board's meeting again?
Let's see, I don't know that she had a specific date. I have on here that they meet May 10th is when they meet in May, and then we'll have some, we should know by the end of May on where we are with that.
What about if we just changed our June meeting to June? That would be after board meeting, that would be after the June 7th meeting of the
Council.
council. We'd
We'll have June 8th.
Just move it 1 week back at June 8th.
Bruce, are you?
Either coming back on the 8th or the 9th. Here. Do it the following week.
Well, I'll have to check with the, see if.
See availability.
If availability. So how about, we decide on it, on some dates, and then I'll get back with you on availability of the chamber,
Okay,
okay?
you'll just send us a
I
notice
will
and
send you an
everybody
email
will
on that,
just
keep you all posted on,
it back to
on
you.
what's going on.
Okay, very good. All right, well, then we will meet sometime in June, but it will not be on the 1st.
And then
Okay.
I'll send some
Thank
open
you.
dates for the chambers, and then you can weigh in.
If there's nothing further, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Okay, Barbara. Do we have a second?
Did.
Okay, second by Bruce. Thank you. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you.